I'm so glad you just posted that out, Scotty, because I thought it was at 8. So I'm sitting here chilling, doing some stuff on my computer. I'm like, yeah, I'll just wait till 8 o'clock. Bam, no, it says 7 o'clock.
Right now, there you go, buddy.
The key about the calendar, like Scotty posted about earlier.
Yeah.
Calendar. All right, guys. Well, I'm excited to have this call tonight. Thanks for jumping on. I know you guys are all busy, but this is what we do on a Thursday. We get together, we kind of go over some stuff, and we learn some stuff. And today we're actually very blessed to have Andrea Waltz. She's the co-author of Go for No. Yes is the destination, and no is how you get there. She has made it her mission to liberate people from fears of failure and rejection, sharing the entire new mindset about hearing the word no. The Go for No philosophies have been embraced by people in a wide variety of industries, businesses, the rave reviews, and amazing results. The book hit #1 on Amazon's selling list and remaining in the top 20 sales books over the last 3 years. Now, like Scotty said, he's got it right there. And I got my copy from Benita. She lent it to me and said, Sean, you need to read this. 80 pages long, just over 80. But I'll tell you what, that book is absolutely mind-blowing. Even Tara, my fiance, went into the bath and she pounded out that book in an hour and a half, and she didn't get out of the bath till she was done. So I'm excited for this call. Thank you for coming on, Andrea, and sharing this with us. I'm just going to make you the host, and it is all yours.
Okay, great. Hopefully you can hear me okay.
Yeah, we're good. And you are now the host. It's yours.
Okay, perfect. Let me go ahead and share my screen. I'm going to share my little slide presentation here with you guys. So yeah, I am super glad to be with you guys tonight and to be sharing the Go for No message. This is something that Richard and I do for all different businesses, all different industries, but direct sales, network marketing is probably one that is closest to our heart because we are entrepreneurs. We believe in entrepreneurs and we know what it takes to get a business off the ground and to go long term. And it takes focus, it takes discipline, all things that you guys know being in your company, and it takes a persistent, tenacious attitude. So tonight I get to share with you the fundamental Go for No philosophy and a couple strategies that you can implement in your business literally starting tomorrow. So with that said, let me go ahead and just tell you that my favorite thing about Go for No. My favorite thing about Go for No is that it is about adding a skill to your toolbox. You know, you guys have lots of skills that you're building all the time. Skills of sharing the product with people, inviting people to a meeting or to a convention, different things like that. That's all adding skills of how to do stuff. But also, in addition to adding a skill, we're removing a restrainer. So let me explain what I mean by that. Think about a car. And oftentimes what we do when we drive a car is we put gas in it. Well, that's kind of adding those skills. So picture that you've got this car and you've added, you've got a full tank of gas and you're sitting in the car and you're ready to go and you're revving the engine and you've got your foot on the gas and everything seems to be great. I mean, you should just be speeding off, right? You should just be taking off, but you're not for some reason. For some reason, you're not moving. And oftentimes for people who are entrepreneurs, whether you're in the business and kind of a newbie, or even if you've been doing this for a few years, sometimes we put our foot on the brake and you look around and you think, why am I speeding off? Well, the foot that you've got on that brake is that fear. And it's that hesitation, that fear of rejection, that not wanting to look aggressive, not wanting to look pushy, and not really living in the right Go for No mindset, which I'm gonna teach you tonight, by the way, is exactly what I'm talking about. So what we're doing here is we're really adding this skill, but we're taking your foot off the brake so that all of the other skills that you guys learn on these calls every Thursday night, that you learn at your meetings, that you learn from people in the business, that when you add those skills in, you just zoom off because your foot is no longer on the brake because you no longer have this fear of hearing the word no, the fear of rejection, or anything else that might be holding you back related to failure. Because fear of failure, I think, is one of the biggest issues in business. We all want to look like, hey, I've started this new thing. The product is great. I'm excited. I'm getting results. And yet when you see people around you that aren't as excited as you, there's this fear that comes up, like, oh no, what if I fail? What if I make a mistake? People are watching me, and they're watching to see that, you know, everything's perfect. Well, it doesn't always go perfectly, and it shouldn't go perfectly, because just like when you're a kid and you're learning to tie your shoe and you're learning to ride a bike, we fell on our faces all the time, and we were fine with that. It was like, hey, fall on my face, I'm gonna learn how to do this and get back up. You didn't even care if other kids saw you. But now as adults, we really care what other people think. So hopefully we'll kind of recraft how you view failure and success as well. So I've got quite a task ahead of me, and I share a lot of content, but I just want to let you know that we'll stick to about 40-45 minutes tonight. And if there's something I said tonight that you have a question about, go to facebook.com/go4no, ask me a question. I love questions. Engage with me on Twitter, and I can definitely help you if there's something I say that I don't cover perfectly. But like I said, I do have a lot of stuff that I like to cover, because I think that in 45 minutes you'll be amazed at how much that you will learn. So when you hear the word no, what does that no mean to you? I ask a question because I think for a lot of people, when they think about the word no, it means never. It means it's done. It means, oh, I got a no from this person, I'm moving on. And think about how you respond both internally in your mind and externally in your actions. Now, I want to create two worlds for you. In a go for no world, how you respond internally and externally is different than in a go for yes world. Now, in a go for yes world, if you get a no, how you typically respond internally is, oh my gosh, I can't believe the person said no. This is not going right. I didn't say the right thing. I'm a loser. I'm failing. And you know what? I'm done. I'm not going to do this today. And maybe I'll just stop for the week and I'll pick up the business next week. So it's really negative. You beat yourself up. Now, in a go for no world, how you respond internally in your mind is you say, oh, I got a no. Okay, great. I see it as a gift. I'm going to take this gift and I'm going to immediately figure out what to do with it. I'm going to ask a question maybe of why. Why did you say no? And see if you can gather information. Now, if it's not appropriate to say why, if it's not a really good time, then it's accept the gift and see it as valuable, because no doesn't mean never. No oftentimes means not yet. And so you can still take it, you can see the value in it, and then you can go back to that person in the future. I am going to talk a little bit more about that later on, because in your guys' business, unlike so many, the idea of follow-up and people who want to see you in it long term and want to see results and aren't ready, because especially when it comes to fitness and all of those changes, you know this, people aren't ready to change. They're fearful of change. They're scared of change. Maybe they've done the whole diet exercise thing before and they failed and they don't want to go through it again. Well, somebody else is going to get to them. Someone else is going to be there when they're finally ready, when they finally had enough and they're ready to say, you know what, yes, I'm ready to get on some nutrition products. I'm ready to get into a program. And whoever has real estate in that person's mind is going to get that customer. And if they become a customer, then perhaps they'll actually join the business too, right? So definitely, follow-up is so huge. So when you hear the word no, the whole idea is not to berate yourself, not to think that you're going down the wrong path. It's to actually celebrate it and understand that you're living in a go for no world where you can respond positively. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about that as well. The whole idea behind go for no, for those of you who are thinking go for no sounds very weird and it sounds negative and I don't understand it. Why would anyone in their right mind want to go for no? It sounds silly, right? The whole idea of go for no is to intentionally increase your failure rate. In other words, to go out of your way and intentionally get more no's, to have more people say no to you. Now, I'm going to compare and contrast the go for no world and the go for yes world again. In a go for yes world, you might say, wow, I have 20 great friends who could all benefit from our company, our products, business opportunity. And so you go down this list of 20 people, and what you do is you say, well, I know 5 of them would really be into it, so I'm going to talk to those people for sure. I've got 10 people, which are, I don't know, they're on the fence, right? So you put them off to the side, and then you have 5 more people of the 20, and you say, they're going to say no. I know it. These people are cynical, and they're just going to say no right off the bat. So first things first, I'm not going to approach those people because I will just get a no. Now, of the 10 people, you start working through the list and you start trying to make decisions and figure out who's going to say yes to you. And of course, we know that, as I know all of you are not mind readers, there's no way to determine who's going to say yes to you, who's going to say no, who's going to be interested, what people are going to decide, do, or spend. But when we live in that go for yes mindset, where we're really chasing after those yeses, what we're doing is we're really doing a disservice to people, and we're protecting ourselves emotionally because we don't want to be rejected, and why waste my time? But you see, when you can intentionally increase your failure rate, and by the way, Richard and I use failure and the word no interchangeably, and I'll explain why in a minute. When you intentionally go out of your way to increase the number of no's you hear, the yeses will fall into your lap in greater quantities oftentimes than you ever could have expected. Because the irony is, when you avoid no, when you go out of your way to protect yourself and avoid getting rejected, that is the recipe for mediocre performance. That's the recipe to ensure that you limit your opportunities and you don't get the results. It's like saying, to use a weightlifting analogy, I'm gonna lift some weights, but I'm not gonna work to failure because I don't wanna have that last rep be so painful that I can't push it all the way, because that would be embarrassing and I don't wanna fail. And yet, you guys know that working to failure is a great part of how you can build and tear down muscle. You're just like to tear it down to build it back up. And so that's what we're talking about here. Now, in the Go for No book, there's a story, and this is kind of it's the fundamental Go for No story that happened to Richard. When he told me the Go for No story, you guys, I have to say, I really thought I was a superstar salesperson. We met at LensCrafters. We worked together there. He was in the training department. I was a store manager. I was managing a $3 million store. I was 24 years old. And again, I thought I was a superstar salesperson. So I meet Richard because he's one of our trainers, and he tells me this Go for No story. And that's when I had my epiphany. I realized I am not the superstar that I think I am. I really did. And I thought, I don't like to hear no. I avoid looking, I don't want people to think I'm being pushy. I don't want people to think I'm being aggressive. And so fundamentally, the story is, for those of you who haven't read the book, which is a fable, by the way, but Richard was working for this menswear company. His sales were pretty bad. He thought he was going to be fired. The district manager was coming in to visit the store and make sure that everyone was doing well, and he figured he could impress this guy. This guy's name was Harold. Well, Harold shows up on this particular day. They have donuts and coffee that morning. The store opens up, and Richard is the first salesman in that morning, so he gets to help the first customer, and the first customer that shows up that day is this gentleman who walks in and says, yeah, I need to buy an entire wardrobe of clothing. And Richard was like, oh my God, this is great. I'm going to help. I'm going to take care of this guy. He's going to buy, so he takes this guy around. He shows him a suit. The guy buys it. He shows him shirts. The guy buys them. Ties. The guy buys them. And Richard's going along. And finally, he's like, okay, at $1,100 sale, he takes the guy to the register. He rings him up. He sends him on his way. And now he's waiting for Harold to congratulate him on this great sale. And Harold doesn't say anything. Finally, they end up talking. And Richard's waiting for he's like, hey, that was a great sale, right? And Harold's like, yeah, it was a great sale, but can I ask you a question? And Rich says, sure. And he says, out of curiosity, Richard, I'm just curious, what did that customer say no to? And Rich thought about it, and he's like, well, the guy bought a suit and the shirts and the ties and everything I showed the guy, he seemed to buy. And Richard said he didn't say no to anything. And then Harold said, well, if he didn't say no to anything, then how did you know he was done? And that was the epiphany that Richard had in that moment. This is now many, many years ago now. And he said, how did I know he was done? Well, he hit $1,100. That's a huge sale. I guess I sent him on his way. He was done. And he said, Richard, your fear of the word no is going to kill you. You're a great salesperson. I watched you sell. You're great. But your fear of the word no is going to kill you. If you could just get over that, I think you could become one of the great ones. True story. Richard came back in the next morning, decided that he was going to hear more no's from customers, show more merchandise that was appropriate for them. And one of the other things that Harold said that it was, I think one of my favorite things, he said, you know where that customer is right now, by the way? And Rich said, what? He said, where? And he said, he's down at the other end of the mall spending the rest of the money that you wouldn't let him spend with us. So when you think about all of the products that you guys have, it's easy to feel like, oh, I don't want to push, I don't want to show. And yet people don't know what they don't know. So I thought that was kind of a great lesson. So Rich comes in the next morning, he's kind of turns into this great salesperson, and ends up going into training, ends up meeting me. He tells me this story. I have my epiphany. And then Richard tells me, you know what? They actually bring trainers in from the outside to companies. We can share our philosophies of sales, the Go for No story, all of our other customer service and management things. We can actually go do this for companies. And I had a really nice job for my age, and I was doing really well. But I so believed in this, I said, yeah, absolutely. So eventually I quit my job. Eventually he quit, and we launched our company in part on this story and our desire to share it with people. I absolutely believe in it. I've seen so many people change their business from trying this, change their confidence. And it's not just a business philosophy. I know I was listening to Scotty. I mean, he's got obviously some kind of music business. Anytime you've got to ask for anything in life, you're putting yourself in a position to fail. You're putting yourself in a position to get that no. And yet, if you don't ask, you've given yourself the no. You've rejected yourself. And there's not much worse than that. You've got to give yourself the opportunity to do it. Now, here's the deal though. We've been conditioned not to fail. And believe me, I'm all for success philosophies. And one of the things I like to tell people is Go for No is not about a mindset that's negative that says, oh, I'm wishing and hoping and praying for no. I don't want you to sit down with somebody and hope that they tell you no. I don't want somebody to call you back and say, you know what, I've been giving it a lot of thought and I'm ready to sign up. And you say, oh, that was too easy, and hang up on them. That would be crazy, right? So the idea here is to just see things as positive and have an empowering model where you're not going into it negatively, hoping that that happens. You're going into it understanding that that could happen and that you can survive it. And actually it's a gift to get it, because then you can do something with it. And I mean the no. So part of this whole thing is to reprogram how you think about failure. And we've got this model here. This is something we share in the book. And the old model is you're in the middle. You see failure on one side, success on the other. You think you have a choice between one or the other. The new model is you really are on one side. The failure, the no's, the rejections are in the middle, and success is on the other side. Now you might be thinking, but eventually I'm going to be successful. Well, yeah. And the irony is, especially in a business like yours, you start off and you're bad. Maybe you don't know how to talk to people. You don't know the products. You don't know all the ingredients. Maybe you're not a nutrition expert. But when you try it, you start talking to people and having conversations, you get better. You get to fair, right? And then you start doing it a little more, and your no's increase, and you're going for no, but you're still learning. And then you get good. And then once you get to the good, you're having more conversations and you're still going for no, but interestingly, you've given yourself enough chance to get better that you do stop hearing as many no's when you reach a higher level of success. The best of the best, even in your company, still hear no. They still get rejected. They're far more skilled though, because they didn't give up early when they were in that bad stage and that fair stage, and they were learning, and they pushed through those no's, and they forced themselves to get those no's and to figure out, what could I have done differently? How can I be a little more creative? What am I missing here? What am I saying to people that maybe I'll mix something up and I'll try something different? So I'm not here to give you guys the perfect script of exactly what to say. Everybody's got to figure that out for themselves. And quite frankly, in any one company, what I've seen is oftentimes there's lots of different ways. You see the leaders and the best people, and they all have different ways of doing things that work successfully for them. You've got to figure out what works for you, but you've got to give yourself a chance to be there in those conversations, doing things on social media, trying that stuff, approaching people, so that you can move from bad to fair to good. And then yes, you will experience more success. And the irony is, you might have fewer no's, but you've got to push through that beginning piece. So in the beginning, I posed those questions to you about when you hear the word no, what does it mean to you? One of the things I suggest that you do is to create a no awareness. Figure out how many no's you're getting right now on a daily basis or on a weekly basis, and then set a goal for the number of no's you're going to hear. So what I mean by that is we all have yes goals. I'm sure all of you have goals for your business of how many people you'd like to join, how many customers you'd like to get. Maybe there's volume type goals. Those are all great. You should have those. But the go for no idea is to set a goal for the number of no's you're going to collect. Now you guys can collect no's a bunch of different ways. You can collect no's by meeting with someone, by having them as a customer. You could collect no's in a single interaction where you show people different options and they say no to this, but yes to this. Where you are literally, in that moment where you're suggesting additional products that person could be interested in. Once you figure out where you are from a no standpoint, set a no goal. I'm not going to tell you what it is. Again, that's for you to decide. We've done webinars and had calls with people where I had one person say she decided on one no for the week. That was her comfort zone. And her leader actually said, one no, that's it, one no. And the lady said back to her, she said, look, I am way outside my comfort zone here. So one no is like 100% improvement for me. So one no is all it is. That's all I can do. Fair enough. You start with one, the next week you move to two. So figure out something for you. You don't have to go crazy. When Richard and I started our business, kind of an embarrassing story, our goal was to speak like 4 times a month, and we would get on the phone and we would call and send packages and emails, and we would hit our yes goal of like 4 a month. And sometimes I'm hearing noise, you guys. I don't know what it is. It's not me, I swear. Sometimes what would happen is we would get our yeses, and we would get them easily, and we would get them early in the month. And what do you think we did with the rest of the month? We would just take off, right? We just said, hey, we had our yes goal. We got 4 yeses. Our income was at a level where we were comfortable, which was interesting because our income was always exactly where we were happy with it at that comfort level. And then we said, okay, we'd written go for no a couple years before, and we said, all right, we really have to apply. We know the go for no, the no goal thing works. We've got to apply this. So we set a goal to have 100 companies each month. So this is business to business marketing, if you get my meaning. Calling companies, getting no, we don't hire speakers. No, yes, we hire speakers, but no, we're not hiring you. 100 no's each month. And when we were doing that, we had more business than we knew what to do with, because we weren't letting those 4 yeses stop us and keep us in our comfort zone. And that's exactly what was happening. When we got the 4 yeses, but we still had more no's to collect, it was like, okay, yeah, we got the yeses, that's great, but we have more no's to collect. And it made it more fun, and it made it more of a game. We didn't take ourselves so seriously. And I think that's one of the other things is this go for yes mindset and go for no mindset. Go for no is never about manipulating people, talking them in, badgering them into doing something that they want. In fact, when you go for no, and from your standpoint, it's like you're just looking for an answer. You just want to help educate, which you all do very well. Educate and get an answer. See what they think. Test the waters. What do you think? It's not about pressuring, because no is a perfectly acceptable answer because you can do something with it. So it's about getting those no's and moving through them. When we live in the go for yes world, it's like, I need 3 yeses this week and you're one of them. So we're going to sit down and I'm going to start telling you everything that I think you need to hear in order to tell me yes. And so I'm pressuring and I'm on you, right? And we've all had those salespeople and you're like, oh no, this is high pressure sales. That's not what this is about. That's go for yes. Go for yes is, I want the yes, I'm going to get the yes, I'm going to do whatever I can. Go for no is not about pressure, it's about education, but it's about always making that ask. It's about having that courage to be persistent. If the person says, you know, I don't know, I need to think about it. I don't know. We get that all the time, right? Hey, no problem. Of course you need to think about it. In fact, I would recommend that you study everything that I've given you here. This is an important decision, and I'm going to check back with you. And quite frankly, you know, my time is limited anyway. I'm building this huge team. I've got this going, so it's no pressure. When you pull back like that, people are very attracted to that, and you might want that yes, you might need that yes. But if that's your posture and your position, it's not going to serve you. They're going to be, it'll be, if you get the yes, it'll be a bad yes anyway. It'll come back to haunt you. We've all had those, right? It's like you think, I wish they had just told me no. That would have been easier. So when you change your posture and they finally say yes, it's because they really want it. And so they'll be happier customers. If they decide to be business owners, they'll be happier business owners. They'll be more engaged. So you may want it now, but just, you've got to have a long-term attitude. And that is the truth. You know, I've told people this a lot lately and everyone laughs. To me, this is just day to day. We finally got hired by a company after marketing to them. I say marketing, meaning sending them information. They knew who we were. It took 8 years. It took 8 years. I really wanted to speak with this company. I admire them. And for me, it was just a matter of time. And it was just always staying in touch, always drip marketing on them, waiting for the moment. And you know what? I'm patient. I'm going to be around. I'm going to be here for a long time. I'm not going anywhere. I have a long-term attitude. So with Go for Known, for all of you, be patient, have a long-term attitude, but stay in touch with people enough because, like I said earlier, there's going to come a moment where they're going to be ready, especially I think with your business, because most people need a program. They want a program. They're just scared. They're nervous. They don't know. And they need to know that you're an advocate, but that it's no pressure. All right, so let me cover a couple more concepts and I will let you guys go. I hope this is valuable. I do love sharing it. So a little mindset thing. We did not create this. I wish we did. But this is something that we learned from Jack Canfield, and it's a little mantra. Some will, some won't, so what, someone's waiting. And that someone's waiting is really important. It really is about having that follow-up, staying in contact with people who tell you no. When you get those no's, responding positively, like, hey, no problem. I just did a blog post actually a couple days ago for this very reason of your response to that no. And that is when Richard and I launched our business, we did retail training, and we would always tell people who worked in retail stores, when a customer tells you that they're just looking, stop frowning or being apathetic, you've got to respond positively so that they feel good. And that's exactly how I feel about no. When you get a no, or if somebody's hemming and hawing and they feel like, I don't know, and you just say, hey, a no is fine. I mean, it's no big deal. All that pressure's off. Your positive attitude will engender that person for the future. They'll be far more likely to say yes to you. And quite frankly, if they never say yes to you, they'll be far more likely to say to their friends or family, you need to talk to this person, because they know that you handled the situation so well. I mean, if you get told no and you get angry or frustrated, or I don't understand, you're not looking at this right, you're not understanding what I'm telling you. You know, it's inside you're thinking that, right? You're just like, this is so frustrating. But outside you're cool. And you just say, no problem. And that person who maybe they just are never going to be interested, but you have that relationship, you create that friendship, you create that relationship, you stay in touch. And eventually that person says, I'm going to refer to Scotty because when I told him no, he was like totally cool. And my friend needs this. So I'm going to refer this person. I'm going to make this introduction. So it always is to your benefit to understand that some will, some won't, so what? And then someone's waiting. They are out there. Have that gracious reaction. And don't take it personally. It's not about you. It's easy to take it personally. It's easy to feel like people are rejecting you. The reality is that they come to you with 20, 30, 40 years of preconceived programming built in, like a computer. You imagine buying a brand new computer and having 40 years of software already installed and built into this thing. You'd be like, oh my God, this thing's a mess. Well, I'm not saying people are a mess, but they've got all this pre-programming, right? Pre-programming about what's healthy and from your standpoint of nutrition and what exercises people should do to lose weight and business and, anything that looks like network marketing is a pyramid scheme. And of course we know that everything's a pyramid scheme, including standard businesses and the government and all of that. So they come with these things. So it really is all about what's in their head. What I try to do is when I get a no, I say, you know what? It's just about them. If somebody says, Gopher knows the stupidest thing, it's completely, you guys are telling people to have negative thoughts and law of attraction says that you're just going to get more no's. And that's someone who doesn't, they just don't understand. And so what I try to do is say that's their programming. So make sure that you remember it really is about the other person and not about you and not about the product. And it has nothing to do with your future. Don't live in your future destruction. And what I mean by that is sometimes it's easy to get that no and say, oh my gosh, this no means that my business is crumbling. This no somehow means, and you live in this future destruction that hasn't happened. That's that negative interpretation. That no means that you were in action, that you did some activity today, which is super fabulous because really the business is all about activity and talking to people. So when you get those no's, that is actually when you should celebrate and reward yourself and say, that was pretty cool. I had a conversation. What did I learn? And then move on. I've said this before, no doesn't mean never, no means not yet. And some persistent statistics, 44% of people give up after getting one no. 22% more give up after the second no. 44, 22, 14, can't read, give up after the third no. 12% more give up after the fourth no. When you add that up, it means that 92% of all people give up before getting a fifth no. And yet 60% of all customers say yes 4 times before finally saying yes. We've quoted this for a long time. I literally just read another sales book 2 nights ago. They have the same statistics, and apparently I didn't realize this. It's from a Yale study. So this idea of following up with people and understanding that they're not going to say yes right away. They're going to hem and haw. They're going to want to go on the internet, look up information. And that's all fine, but it really is about staying in touch with those people. So I want to close tonight with just a couple things. I'm going to run through the 5 failure levels for you. I told you that we use failure and no interchangeably. One of my things is to try to give people, not like I have the power to do this, but I always say, I'm giving you permission to fail. I want you to go out, I want you to fail, I want you to mess up, I want you to screw up, I want you to get some no's. Because once you do that, you learn not to take yourself so seriously. You learn that one interaction, one conversation really helps you learn, and the interpretation of, oh, that's the end of everything. It's the end of my life. I'm going to be living under the freeway overpass. That's the drama that we can sometimes create. That the failures, the no's are really all part of the process. So level 1, we all have it. It's where 100% of the people start. But unfortunately, few people move past this basic level. They live in a go for yes world. They're thinking about yeses, and they're thinking of perfection. I'm going to do everything within my power not to fail, not to screw up, not to have anything go wrong. And that is unfortunately a recipe for mediocrity. Level 2 is the willingness to fail, and that's reaching the point where you understand that you gotta have some failure. Unfortunately, again, a lot of people fall out from this. They say, I'm willing to hear no, but I don't really like it. Now, interestingly, the more you stay in the business, the more you learn, the more you try, you do actually get to the point where you don't hear as many no's. You're able to use social media and marketing strategies because you become someone who's attracting people because you went through that early willingness to fail. Level 3 is the wantingness. You get past the mere willingness to really say, I want to get 10 no's today, and I'm going to do it. And it's 9 o'clock at night or 10 o'clock at night, and I only got 9 no's. And it's like, I'm going to figure out how to get one. I'm the last no. Even if I have to go down to 7-Eleven and ask for like free chocolate, I'm going to get the 10th no. And, well, you guys wouldn't do that. I know that. But whatever it is, right? It's wanting this to fail, to really push yourself to the next level. Failing bigger and faster. Failing is good, then failing bigger and faster is better. Easy yeses produce little successes, we like to say. So this is about really setting those goals. Go after that person that, on that list I talked about. You have the 5 people that you go, oh, they'll definitely say no. Fine, try it out on them. Try it out on the worst people who are absolutely going to say no, or that big person who, you're nervous about talking to. And if you want to, there's that big person you're nervous about talking to. So practice a little, have some conversations, get some no's under your belt, and then go to them. But don't ignore those big opportunities out there. And then finally, failing exponentially, function of leadership. What you guys are doing tonight is great. It's getting everybody together, doing this together, really making a difference as a team and having some fun with it, and seeing what people can do from a go for no standpoint. I just wanted to mention briefly, I have one last point that I wanted to hit home. I kind of mentioned it already. If you guys want, at goforno.com, come visit me on Facebook. I always mention this whenever I do something like this, because sometimes people want the book, which you can get on Amazon, wherever you are. Sometimes people want training, and I actually have done things for your company. So I have a special coupon code, which is BB1. And that allows you to get our full training. And I want to respect your time. So you guys can go online and see information about what this product is, but it's fundamentally our mastering program, where Richard and I talk about 20 core go for no concepts, and we go back and forth in the studio. It's CDs. There's a fun movie we created and an affirmation CD, but if you want that, you can see all the pricing there. So thanks for indulging me to share that with you. If I didn't share that with you, I wouldn't be a very good go for no girl, would I? Or gal. And then finally, final wrap up idea here is really this idea of not using go for no as a tool for evil. I think I've made that very clear. You can do it in a win-win. You can stay positively persistent. No is a perfectly acceptable answer. And if somebody tells you no, never, never, ever, I'm never going to be interested, I'm just not, then that's okay. In fact, that's like actually kind of great, because you can say, you know what, I respect that, I value that, I take it, and you don't have to worry about hearing from me ever again. But most people won't. Most people are, they're not a never, and you have to cultivate that. The bottom line is it's a win-win, and obviously you have tremendous things to offer people, so you want to avoid making assumptions, about what people are going to decide, what they're going to do, what they're going to spend, because we don't know. So be of service. Think of it as a service. Go for no in a positively persistent way, and it can be a win-win. So with that said, I just wanted to thank you guys for having me tonight. I hope you learned a couple things. Oh, what do I have to do? Should I escape out of here?
I think Scotty can actually pull back the host if you want to do that, Scotty. And if you got some time, Andrea, I'm not sure if anybody has any questions for her. Now would be a great time if you guys have any questions to ask after this call. Looks like everybody learned something. Scotty's got to have some sort of question.
Oh, I always have something.
Perfect. Let's hear it.
Hey, thanks for sharing that with us. I've read the book quite a few times. Actually, I read it first like 2 years ago, and it's all true. Everything that you guys teach is so perfect. And when you can embrace that, and sometimes I really learned a lot from this call, because sometimes I don't realize what I'm doing that I could teach other people. And it's that attitude of when you get a no, just saying, hey, that's totally okay. Thanks for letting me know. Because, it's something I say. Thanks for letting me know. I'm building a team, and we're working with a lot of people. And when you're ready, I will be here for you if that moment comes. So that was a great example. And guys, just like we had that coach opportunity webinar 2 weeks ago before we were in Cancun, just so you guys know my exact numbers. I know my personally sponsored coaches know, but I don't know if the rest of you guys know. I sent out 100 invites to that call in 4 days. And I only got 4 people on there. And then after that, I was like, hey, I noticed you weren't on the call. Here's the recording. And so I'm going for another no with the same people. So just being persistent with that, following up with people is an important thing. So I just want to say thanks for teaching us and reminding me of those things, Andrea. And it looks like Barton on here, Barton Jeffs has a question or a comment he wants to make. So I'll let Barton take it.
Hey, Andrea, is there a recommendation of how many times you should go for no on an individual? I mean, do you have that kind of statistics as when it becomes too much?
That is a great question. And I love that question, because it's always like, where's that line for people, right? Where's that invisible line? And unfortunately, everyone has a different line. You get some people who you follow up with them one time, and they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're calling me back. What's wrong with you? I told you no, And unfortunately, those instances, since we've all had that happen, tend to be the thing that drives our response. We think about that one person who freaked out at us the one time, and so that becomes where our line is. And so we use that to be the judge of, okay, well, remember that one time, that one person, so now I don't want to ever cross that line. But of course, the line is different for everyone, and it's also invisible, so which makes it really difficult to figure out where everybody's line is. It's different for every business, because I'm not in your business operating day to day. It's hard for me to just say, oh, here's the number. I know for me, I have a much longer sales cycle. My customers make decisions like once a year, so there's no sense in staying in touch with them, like week after week, 52 times in a year. On the other hand, I don't want to just call on them here and then 12 months later, because that's not really building a relationship, is it? That's like trying to get a transaction. So I stay in touch periodically throughout the year, 4 or 5 times, and then hopefully they'll make the decision. So for you guys, again, since I can't throw out a number, I think staying in touch with someone until they tell you I'm done and I'm out, there is no time to quit. It's you really wait for them, Barton, until they've said enough is enough. But I think at the beginning, you're probably staying in touch with them more. So it's like what Scotty did. It's like, hey, here's this call. Oh, here's the recording. A couple days later, maybe something else of value. And then maybe the 4th time. And now this is, say, 10 days, 12 days into the relationship with this person. You say, you know what? I invited you to call. You didn't join me here. I invited you for coffee and you were busy. So I'm going to take your non-response as a no. If you're interested though, I'm here for you. And then you let it go because you're not desperate. You don't want to have that desperation, but you don't rip up their phone number or their email. You stay in touch with them. If you're friends on Facebook, stay in touch, interact. If you have a drip marketing campaign of some type, if you want to put them on a list where every now and then you send something of value, I would encourage you to do that. But so it's that beginning that you do have those multiple contacts, but then at some point you have to let them know that you're setting them free. That's what I suggest.
Thank you.
Awesome. Does anybody else have any questions for Andrea?
No.
Okay, awesome. Hey, sorry to take away from you, Sean. Thanks again, Andrea, for communicating with Sean and doing this call for us. It'll be recorded, so I know hundreds or even thousands more people are going to be able to see this as well and get this message. I know that's your life mission and purpose, is to get this message out to people and teach people so they can improve their lives and improve their businesses. I know that book has completely helped me as well in my business and going for no's. I was talking to one of my coaches today. I think if I thought about it and looked through all my notebooks, I've probably had like 50,000 no's in the past 4 years, right? But every single one of you guys is a part of our lives now because I didn't give up when it got hard, or when somebody blocked me on Facebook. I was telling that story this morning. We did a Q&A. I had, just so you guys can relate to this on not worrying about the no's or those. I had a neighbor that they blocked us from Facebook, completely blocked us. And the cool thing is that 4 years later, she was in Cancun with us as a Success Club All-Star, which means she completely earned that trip. So, it wasn't a no right now. It was, whatever she was going through in her life at that time, it was too much for her to see all that positivity and the working out when they didn't have that in their life or were not ready for that. But when they were ready, they joined the team and were 100% all in with that. So just realize that you're going to have those, and it's your ability to stay focused and excited about what you're doing and embracing everything that we've learned tonight. So thanks again. And Sean's got this recorded, so I imagine it'll be up on his YouTube channel by tonight. So share it with your coaches, share it with your teams. And I'm going to go for no. I want every single one of you guys to go to your Super Saturday this weekend. Make the sacrifice. I know a girl that's driving 24 hours with her children to come to Super Saturday in Edmonton and Calgary. So if yours is like 5 hours away, 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours, and you're serious, I would try to make it to it 100%, because being connected with other coaches in person, it's great on video, but in person, it's a different experience. And I believe it just empowers you to believe more in yourself when you see other people just like you building this business. So thanks again, and we'll see you guys all next week. And a quick note while I'm loading it out, take the opportunity as well for all these no's that you're getting to post a picture from your Super Saturday up on your Facebook wall, so these people are telling you no can see that you are doing a serious business. See you guys later.
Well, that was a lot of information.